It's race day here in Montreal. Oh, Canada. Oh, boy, are we excited for this. Welcome along, ladies and gentlemen. It's the 51st World Championship Canadian Grand Prix and the 41st to take place here on the banks of the St. Lawrence River, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It is round 9 in this Formula One season in 2022, and the track, well, we've missed it. We're so glad to be back. 2.71 miles long, 14 corners, only 14 corners, 6 to the left and 8 to the right, and 163 metres from pole down to the first braking zone, where Fernando Alonso on the front row will go head-to-head with Max Verstappen in just a few moments' time. You take your lap distance at full throttle for 73% of the lap, and down that long straight, overtaking chances into turn 1. Perez and Grosjean in 2019, and the Mexican driver getting past Romain Grosjean comfortably on that occasion. Hamilton and Vettel in 2019, controversy as Vettel went off the track, rejoined, got a 5-second penalty and lost the lead. He's been the first to take the checkered flag at the last 2 races here. Sebastian Vettel, but hasn't won them both. Bottas and Ricciardo also in 2019, once again into the chicane, the final chicane, another good spot for overtaking, and there's a big tailwind into there to maybe not assist the drivers today. Here are the tyres. Soft is the C5, medium the C4, C3 is the hard, softest compound in the Pirelli range. The hard tyre is meant to be, as the teams tell us, the favoured racing tyre. We'll see what happens when we get to the action. Here's the starting grid then, and it's Charles Leclerc and Yuki Tsunoda on the back row, both taking engine penalties for this race. Ahead of those, the 2 Canadians, Nicholas Latifi for Williams, Lance Stroll, who's finished twice in the points from 17th before. Sebastian Vettel 16th alongside Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri, and ahead of those on the grid, it's Sergio Perez and Lando Norris. Perez crashing in qualifying, Norris having problems with a sensor in his power unit. Valtteri Bottas starts outside the top 7 for the first time ever here. He's just ahead of Alex Albon in 12th, and then it's Zhou Guanyu qualifying in the top 10 for the first time ever. Daniel Ricciardo, former winner from 10th here, starts 9th, and just behind George Russell, who took a gamble on the slick tyres that didn't pay off yesterday. Esteban Ocon starts 7th, and then it's the Haas duo, best ever combined qualifying for Haas. Mick Schumacher, best ever start. Kevin Magnussen is 5th. Lewis Hamilton, 7-time previous winner here, starts 4th, and Carlos Sainz starts 3rd. We have 2 Spaniards in the top 3 for the first time ever in Formula One, as Fernando Alonso returns to the front rows for the first time since 2012. It is Max Verstappen on pole for the first time ever here.
Let him go if Alonso gets really punchy around the outside.
So here we go then. The Canadian Grand Prix returns to the Formula One calendar. It's lights out and away we go, and Max Verstappen gets the better start from Fernando Alonso, and Lewis Hamilton away quickly too. And Hamilton already level with Carlos Sainz, but Sainz has the inside line. Alonso stays in 2nd place, then Sainz, then comes Hamilton. Magnussen around the outside of him. Mick Schumacher under pressure already from Esteban Ocon in the other Alpine. George Russell just behind those two. As into the first chicane we go, and Hamilton wheel to wheel there with Kevin Magnussen just getting ahead outside of the chicane.
Magnussen had a tremendous start for Haas there, but all clean then as they head down to turn 6 and 7. The McLaren's in the mid-pack there, and Alonso hanging on, isn't he? He's hanging on in there.
He is hanging on in there. Esteban Ocon, his teammates, already got ahead, though, of Mick Schumacher, making a place off the line. Oh, Pierre Gasly.
I love the engine.
Oh, and if qualifying was bad, this is epically bad.
Too good an opportunity to miss, especially as these tyres seem to be going off quite quickly. Vettel's stop was a planned stop, so his tyres were going off. Obviously the top cars there, Lewis Hamilton as well. He's also in, but nothing from George Russell, nothing from the other cars as well. We got some other people. It's a bit too early for some people, Crofty, but if you're in trouble with your tyres, it's worth coming in now.
Almost on a par with Ocon going into that corner. Hamilton will get a decent exit, and has got a decent exit on the fresher tyres, and is racing Ocon now down towards turn 1. These two have collided and tangled together in 2022, but not on this occasion. Lewis Hamilton gets himself past Esteban Ocon, takes the applause of the crowd, and now going through the gears with DRS active up to 200 miles an hour. Fernando Alonso is waved goodbye by Max Verstappen. And this is Mick Schumacher. Mechanical problems affecting the Haas.
Died on him, hasn't it?
Sorry, man. You were on it.
As Carlos Sainz makes his pit stop and will come out behind Alonso and almost behind Lewis Hamilton. Well done to the Ferrari crew. That was good work from them. Fernando Alonso hasn't been into the pits yet. These tyres are a lot older than Hamilton's. Hamilton moves out from behind the rear wing of the Alpine and then moves past the Alpine by the time they put the brakes on. It's a nice straightforward pit stop and the hard tyres are on for Max Verstappen. Verstappen has the outside line though, Hamilton on the inside, Lewis Hamilton ahead as he makes his way down the main straight. Hamilton's not fighting this one, he's not defending it, he knows the Red Bull has got a faster pace, and for the moment Hamilton can come into the pits as well. As Charles Leclerc has Daniel Ricciardo as the next car he wants to try and overtake, and he's going to try and find somewhere a little more unusual to make that move stick, and he does that make that move stick into turn 8. This was the move on Yuki Tsunoda. Down towards the first corner, Zhou Guanyu is passed by Charles Leclerc on the medium tyre now. And that's why we've got yellow flags, and it is Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri.
Sorry, I'm out.
Now that's surely going to be a virtual safety car or a safety car. Safety car, safety car. And this has absolutely worked in Carlos Sainz's favour, because I think he's coming into the pits. He is coming into the pits. Has now got to the pit stop at exactly the right time for him, losing less time by making his second pit stop than Max Verstappen did, and having fresher tyres than Verstappen to run to the end of the race. Verstappen might have just taken the lead here, but Sainz should have less of a gap between himself and the Red Bull driver, and we are now going green. When does Verstappen want to release the rest of the pack? Right out of the final chicane, and Carlos Sainz has gone right with him as well. Verstappen leads them then down towards the first turn. Fernando Alonso right on the heels of his teammate Esteban Ocon as Verstappen leads Sainz, leads Hamilton. That is Fernando Alonso getting passed by Charles Leclerc, and that's gone down very well with those that bought a red t-shirt this weekend. This is Esteban Ocon and Charles Leclerc into the hairpin. Neat little move there by Leclerc, who's having a much better end to this race, and he's now up into 5th place. Verstappen can just start to relax and to rest a little bit, as for the first time he starts a race in Montreal on pole, and for the first time he sees the checkered flag and will know what it's like to win the Canadian Grand Prix. Max Verstappen comes home in first place. Carlos Sainz pushed him all the way. Max Verstappen back on top of the podium for the first time here, and not for the first time this season. He extends his championship lead. It was another thrilling Canadian Grand Prix and another fine performance and a win for the champion, defending champion, Max Verstappen.
I think overall in the race we seem to struggle a little bit more for pace compared to them. So I think already with the last stop I did, if it would have gone to the end, it would have been a close call, I think, to really fight him. But then I was also not entirely happy with the safety car, of course, because then he came out behind me with new tyres. So I gave everything I had in those last 15 laps, which of course are very enjoyable with an F1 car to go flat out.
It's mixed feelings, because P1 was very close today, and I was certainly For the first time this year, I think the fastest man on track and pushing the absolute limit to try and put some pressure on Max and make him force into a mistake. We were 2-3 tenths quicker the whole race.
Honestly, one of the best feelings of the year to be back, especially in Montreal where I got my first win 15 years ago, and to be back up there, to feel the atmosphere and feel the crowd was pretty special.
I mean, one of the biggest factors was we just couldn't overtake, simple as that. And therefore I'm just stuck behind slower cars, and you just can't do anything from then on.
We had a PU issue, which is obviously very unfortunate, because I think we were doing, a good race up to that point.
Gearbox issue. Out of turn 7, I just lost the drive.